Hello, I am Stephanie Joy, the attorney at All Things Social Security and Joy Disability Law. Your video is about to start. I just wanted to remind you that if you click the join button below, you can learn more about the memberships offered at a very affordable price that can give you a little more direct attorney answers to your questions. Have a great day and enjoy the video. Hey, so you're working on your appeal, huh? It's either for reconsideration or for an ALJ hearing, perhaps? Those online forms, and you can also get them in paper form, by the way. It's called the SSA 3441 for the medical portion. And the non-medical portion, the initial notice of appeal would be the SSA 561 if you're appealing for reconsideration, or the HA 501 if you're appealing for an ALJ hearing. But most of us do it online, right? So couple things I want to point out, either which way you do it, because I see this mistake a lot with my clients when they're giving me the information from which I will be drafting their appeal. So they actually never directly draft it. We do all that. But when we request the information, we request it in the manner in which the SSA requests it. So for a particular question, say. On your appeal, when they're asking about your medical providers, they are asking for everyone you saw from the time you last reported to the SSA that you saw them, meaning not when you mention it to an adjudicator necessarily. Last time you reported it in a report. So I'm going to say, if you are appealing an initial denial on reconsideration, you want to report all visits, all office locations, or standalone doctors or whatever, and hospitals and physical therapy offices, chiropractic offices, etc., that you have been at since you applied and gave them the information then. Because that information when you applied was every place you'd been to prior to applying. Now they're asking for the information from the time you applied to now, the time you're asking for reconsideration. So this does not mean leaving out the providers that you included on your first simply because you did include them before on your application. If you saw them again, you are going to give them a page, okay, and add them to that appeal because there are new visit dates to be gathered. When you reported them on your application, the SSA ordered them at a particular time, close in time to your application potentially, and likely. So there's probably dates after that were never gotten prior to you getting denied because they often only ask once. So you're going to be, if you've gone to them at any time after you applied, you are going to be including them on your appeal for reconsideration, just as it says. It's pretty clear, but I'm surprised how many people blow that one. Okay. Now, what if you haven't been to the doctor, but he's still your doctor and you're going to be going there in a couple months? I would include him as well. The questions used to say, and I'm not sure if it's still worded this way, was, are you seeing a doctor or will you be for XYZ? But take it as such. If you have not gone to your, say, primary care since you applied, because maybe it was like a 5-month thing and you go every 6 months, whatever. I would put him down if you're going to be seeing him soon. If you know the date, great. You're going to put that in. You're going to see there's a spot for that. If you don't know the date, still put him in there and say very soon, something to that effect, because you want them to order Dr. Jones' newest records, the updates. Similarly, if you are prescribed by Dr. Jones, but you haven't seen Dr. Jones, in this electronic format they give us, it asks for medications and the side effects and such. When you put in the medication, down at the bottom, at the same page, it's going to say who prescribed it or recommended it. If you didn't include Dr. Jones as being one of your treaters since you applied, only from before, then his name is not going to show up as an option for who prescribed the medication. So that's another reason to put him in, so that when you're under medications, you can say which one did it. And in theory, guys, even though you haven't visited a doctor's office, if he refilled your scripts during that time period anyway, which they tend to do, it's his, prescription. I think it's fair game to include him. And you do not want to leave someone out that's important, that could have more information. Okay. Another thing about the appeal. Where they say on the same pages, what condition, new or updated condition did you go to him for? A lot of people leave that stuff out. Put down put down the condition. If it's an orthopedic, what body part? If it's a rheumatologist, what condition? If it's your primary care, you could say primary care. It's because I'm sure you go there for anything you need to, and then you may or may not get a referral to somebody else. But you could put primary care, but then you might want to drill home the majors that he treats for. If he prescribes you a heart medication, high blood pressure medication, you could include that. If he prescribes you diabetic stuff, let's say you're not seeing a specialist for that. Although anything that's really interfering with your life functionally, you should probably be seeing a specialist for. That's a general rule, not all inclusive, everybody. But don't forget to put down the condition you're treating for. Don't just leave it blank. Don't just say, we talked about my conditions, and then not say what they are. You don't have to say we talked about anything. Just answer the question. What conditions were you out there for? Okay. The next question is, what treatment did you get? That one can be hard for people because they're like, he didn't really treat me, Well, he always examined you, right? I mean, when you go to a doctor, there's always some sort of examination. So at the very least, you're going to put examination. If in general, he also has referred you to specialists, they refer to specialists. If he orders diagnostics, you could say that. If he orders medications, or prescribes, you can say that. You don't necessarily have to put the medications right there, because you're going to have to put them in the medications area. Although you can, they give you spots there for it on the electronic version. But don't leave it blank. If he gave you surgery, you're obviously going to want to, put that out there. If we're seeing him now, but he gave you surgery back in 2016, why not mention it? Those old surgeries have a residual way of limiting us later. The surgeries can be great, but they're not always going to make us back to the way we were when we were 20 with that body part. So if he, long ago gave you surgery years ago and continued follow-up, whether it's a shoulder surgery or knee surgery or ankle, foot, back, neck. Okay, that is what I got to say about the appeals today, because it came up, and a lot of things were left out that weren't necessary. And I will also say, going back to those doctors, if you put the doctor in your original application and you are no longer seeing that doctor, and you have not seen him since after that application, then don't put him on your recon. He's no longer your doctor, and he's not going to be. Again, if you think you're going to see him soon, you have an appointment lined up or are about to, I'd put him in, because by the time they get this appeal processed and they're sending it up to the medical workup office, if it's going to reconsideration, you might have had that visit already, particularly with the slowness they have now. I just hopped onto a case where the fellow applied in August, and I sent in involvement papers. I'll just call them involvement papers. Those would be the 1696, 1693, making me the representative, in April. I think it was April. And it is only now that I have electronic access now as of a couple of days ago. And I can see that they had not done anything since they received his application with all those the disability section included in there, which is the medical information, since August. So that's how much it's languished, waiting for an adjudicator who can fit it into his roster and get to work on it. So you know, some of these delays, they say they're going to be improving these guys, so we'll hold them to it, right? But yeah, like that's something where what now that I'm in there, I'm going to see what he put in his application in terms of providers. I'm going to get him a list of what he said and ask, is there anybody new? Because there could be a ton new. And actually, since we spoke, which was, yeah, I think it was April. I think I was I think I was working out of North Carolina that day. But if he took any of my advice at that time, he's already started scheduling a bunch of things that he should have done back when he applied. But you know, we're where we're at now. So hopefully he's getting on that and making those appointments. But yeah, they're really slow. So you're gonna want to stay on top of that. Always keep track of your visits. I would keep a calendar and literally writing down when you go to a particular doctor that day, even if that's all you put is that you went to him that day. It will be worth its weight in gold. Okay, when you're trying to appeal, update your adjudicator if you're pro se, update your lawyer if you're not pro se, or you're not attorney rep. Really, really important, guys. Organize material, give it to your provider, your representative, so they can do their works with it, do the wonders. Okay. I will chat with you later. Bye, guys.